And there's something missing. Freedom. See, treasure is put to use, absent constrained, to live knowing each choice made is your own.
The MV was very different in that respect because it really was a true full production studio. And I can't think of one other instrument made that you could do everything
from beginning to end to master.
CD burned, red book, qualified edition that you could deliver for distribution. You have piano rolls, you have everything else that you could possibly want in this thing. And one of the most attractive things about this, and I did a video about this, was a quantizing.
Another thing too that, you know, when we're talking about the quantize and everything that really separated this from anything else out there was you could have it in record mode or just plain, and you could adjust the percentage of the quantize and everything all in real time. The Cosm effects that are built in on the MV, there's actually a lot of boss effects that are built into the Cosm effect.
Boss game.
I plugged this guitar in.
Let's get ready here.
Simulations and all these really cool things that you can find like a Boss ME50. It's got the RE201 tape effect.
All right, we set up. Yeah.
It's got the RE201 tape effect built in. It's got.
We got the coffee. We got the cartoons. Who remembers Saturday morning cartoons? If you're old enough, you know how we do it. So, the smoking section. Let's get it cracking. As you guys know, there's plenty of news, but I got to get my shouts out. I always discover new channels all the time, man. And I discovered a guy who uses an MV, but as well as a lot of other stuff, man. I really dig his rig, man. Shout out to my man OTG, getting everything cracking over on his channel, man. OTG is a G, man. He been making that shit with like 404, Akai Force. And his beats sound really dope, man. Go check that shit out on YouTube. OTG on YouTube, man. Just check it out. You know, I've been listening to John Makes Beats, and all this stuff got me thinking about the current conversation, right? We got this one community who measures everybody and everything and every piece of equipment by one measuring stick, and that is Akai Professional. But as seen in the news recently, with In Music buying up stuff again, they bought Moog recently. Same company who owns Akai. Now people think you're gonna get Moog plugins with the Akai. If you can, cool. But if you're part of Rolling Gang, you never really knew about that. So we're going to get into a bit of things today. We're gonna get into some MV to MV kind of thing. On this hand right here is the MV8000. You might as well say it's just like the 8800 has the 3.5.1 upgrade, 512 megs of RAM, and this thing kicks ass. Let's give it up for the 20-year-old MV8000. 20 years ago, it was made to specifically compete with the Akai MPC 4000, and that is what began the era of the standalones, right? So the era of the standalones started way back when, right? And wouldn't be smoke without smoke, right? Oh yeah. So I'm playing this one right now. This is going to be a beat we chop up a little later. We're going to do some arrangement on this particular track as I compare both sequences. Right now, it's just background music. So the MV8000 was made to compete directly with the MPC 4000, made to look something like the MPC 3000. However, the 4000 and MPC and the MV8000 are about the same size. And now we got this whole thing where when they mention standalone, nobody mentions the MV8000. Nobody even mentions the MV1 Verse Lab. And it is in the same class as the MPC1, right? And shout out to DJ Direct Productions, aka Native Shades. Video I put out a little bit while ago that highlighted him saying the same thing that I believe, is that this sounds so much better than MPC1. I don't even see how it's a conversation. I'm not really stuck on workflow, but you can adapt to workflow, right? So think about it. The Octatrack guys aren't complaining that the Octatrack doesn't do MPC type stuff, and MV guys aren't complaining that the MV doesn't do MPC type stuff. Some of them, yeah, but for the most part, what I dig about the MV guys in the community is that it's not just one approach or one type of music, right? It's everything over there. And I think that is what makes the other community kind of argumentative, because let's go ahead and say the quiet thing out loud, is that hip hop is just too competitive. And what do I mean by too competitive? Well, what I mean by too competitive is that it's too much of a competition. So creativity is not coming from a place of scarcity. There is never no new ideas or no new approaches. There are plenty of ways to do things, but you're just rediscovering. So let me get a beat started here. What I did, I ran into one of my old buddies that I used to play in bands with, and we were talking music. He was like, you got tracks for me? I was like, yeah, I got tracks, man, but I do music a little differently now. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I kind of just let the frequency come to me. I'm just a receptor. And I heard that quoted by what's his face? What's his name? His name was not Tesla. Nikola Tesla. He said he's a frequency. Brain's a frequency. You're just downloading information. So if you're open enough, everybody has their own frequency. You're vibrating on your own wave of light, so to speak. All you have to do is put yourself around the technology and the position, and in position to receive that vibration. When I make a track, that's just what it is, man. I'm not a prodigy. I'm not well versed in music theory. I just hear shit and then I start making stuff. Anything that you've heard just came out of thin air. You know what I mean? Some of it, the sounds came out of thin air, and then I placed them together strategically, and then some whole compositions came out of thin air within minutes. And that's why I like this one over here. Very quick to produce with, very easy to get the stuff once you know where it is, and enough limitations to where you don't overthink things. That brings me to this one. To me, this sequencer is much better, but it seems to me that if I was listening to the user base, I would have made something like this, because nobody ever said they really enjoyed the steep learning curve of the MV8000, 8800. Said no one ever. You know what I mean? Nobody's looking forward to figuring it out. All the little nuances and stuff that, we're going to go over in the course of my channel. Nobody wants to figure that stuff out. MV Nation was a really big resource, much better resource than the MPC forums and gang. I gotta admit, because shout out to Michael S. He said it best, man. We're sane grown-ups, man. We don't go chopping each other's head off because of a technique or a proclivity to make tracks a certain way, man. You do things your way, I do things my way, and then we both take from the universe, right? So let's get into the sequencer over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this translated directly into this one, the way I work here, right? So I'm going to stop this. Give me a minute. So these are sounds that I reclaimed from my MPC. I pull from this when I want that feel, right? So these samples are from a bygone era when people liked authenticity. When you didn't share your 808 snare with the next guy. You know what I mean? Your 808 hit different. Go back and listen to The Chronic. And then go back and listen to a Cypress Hill record, or go back and listen to America's Most Wanted, and go listen to a Wu-Tang record. The 808s hit so much differently because each guy had their own way of sampling and doing their stuff, right? So these are all kind of sounds I brought over from my MPC and imported to my MV, right? And I'm going to show you a set. So certain sets I would do like people do now, and I would make, you know, what would be called loop kits now. But I just made kits that fit each other. So this is a 16 level sound. Nobody even uses rim shots anymore. That's how you know these kits are old. So you can see where that's going, right? How often I use the rim shot. Rim shots sounded really good coming out of MPCs, man. I gotta admit, right? So anyway, I want to show you where. So we're gonna pull out this track right here and show you where all this went. So how I took these samples right here. Chops got to be A1, or had to be A1 on that old equipment, man. But anyway, what I did was I turned that into an entire track. So in this right here, oh man, I didn't put the right one in there. Anyway, let me show you. Up on this screen up here, I'm gonna go to a setup. I loaded up the wrong reel, right? All right. So within this track right here is everything that the MV does best. That, in my opinion, that they left off of this at the forefront. So what you see at this top level, these bars are all audio recorded into the hard disk recorder as phrases. Right below them, this long one right here, it's a white bar. That is the pattern track. And that is the equivalent to this bar on here. This bar going all the way down here. This is the step sequencer. This is the pattern track. And when I hit shift record, when I have the pattern track lit up, hit shift record, I get this menu right here. And it's the same concept as step recording over here. This is the pattern step record box. As you can see, I can choose the time signatures. I can choose by using a pattern, or if I'm up here, I can actually go and use a phrase that I've turned into a pattern, right? So hit shift record. Oh, that's the record button wrong. Exit. No. Exit. All right. Exit. I'm sure there. Shift record. And I got the same thing. Audio phrase step record. And there it is. I can use the measures, or I can use the phrase itself. If it's already been time stretched enough and it's on the tempo like this track is, then you can just go ahead and just step it in there. You don't have to tap out anything. All this still in linear mode. So when I go to edit, I can just take my foot switch, hit play, and if I hear something I want to take out, I stop it right there. I highlight that piece and I take it out. You know what I mean? That's how I did all this editing here. As you can see, there are several phrases. There's the pattern track. All this within the linear mode. Right? Now, after all that, you have the MIDI down here, which is basically just all my percussive sounds coming from the Phantom. So the only things that are in here that you're going to hear in the sequences is are these. Now, if I go down here, I've taken those same tracks and made them into I have a patch sitting down here. Okay, no, not that one. There it is. And then I made this into a patch in order to 16 level it so that I can fade it in. And then I've made the beginning into a whole patch to kind of just mess with them with the effects wise and resample the entire thing. Let me show you what that is. That is up here, seemingly. All right.
Dangerous, crazier than a... Don't have any friends. Allow me to introduce myself. Crazier than a bat. Crazier than a bat. You ain't got... You don't have any... Allow me to introduce myself. Crazier than a bag of...
Anyway, with my hard work, I'm gonna wind up with this.
You ain't got to explain shit. I've been robbing motherfuckers since the slave shit. Allow me to introduce myself.
Fair use. Make it sound like a little, like I'm switching channels on a TV show. Just at home bored on a Saturday, like I am now.
Find it hard to make you maintain human connection, right? You sad?
Mind you, this is all inside the MV. The only thing that comes from outside the MV, the tambourine, all the percussive percussion, not the drums. The drum loop is in here. The 808 is in here. The rim shot drum loop is in here. All the other stuff is coming from the Phantom. Check it out. This body of work was done using all aspects of sequencing. Phrasing with stepping, pattern mode, linear editing, quantize on, quantize off, time stretching. Everything at my disposal was used to make all this fit together and to make this track work. It's not that much. I didn't use keyboard sounds on purpose. That's why I only brought in percussive sounds. That horn sampled, the vocals sampled, loop chopped, everything, right? So, talking about standalones now. We're talking about all-in-one units. We're talking about being able to do everything efficiently. Okay, it's not the best sequencer. I think it's great, but let's just say in your opinion, the MV8000 is not the best sequencer, or the VerseLab sequencer is a little quirky. Okay, but it sounds awesome. The time stretch is good. On the MV8000, the bigger thing is on the back panel where you can do the foot switch. Here I am down here when I start and stop things. It's on the foot switch. That's a great, to me, a good hack to speed up your workflow. We talk about workflow all the time, and to me that's one of the pluses on the workflows. No, you don't have a whole bunch of MIDI, but you can load up a lot in those tracks up there, and you can save those tracks with the effects that you want on them, right? So we're going to go to a totally different new track, and we're going to do exactly what we did there somewhere else, but I'm going to show you where, if you remember a couple of those sounds I played you. Once again, when you are in a project, the MV8000's projects are set up like albums. If you didn't notice, you can use 500 megs of sound and samples in the project over 16 songs, right? So 16 songs, that's usually about what albums were back in the day, 12 to 16 songs, you know, when we were coming up. So that's what this is sounding like. So you get the whole vibe in the whole project. So I got to the point where I'm gonna make some patterns. So first, I like to show you how you can customize your sound on the MV. That's the standard 808 that's in here. That's what this is. Only it's spread over most of the keyboards, so it's tuned to the song, right? Another thing is that it can be a short. You can just tap it, or you can hold. You know what I mean? Allowing you to play your kick drum like a note within the song, right? Another thing I've done is taken a couple of those samples. To the guy that told me that that the MV is not an elite sampler, this one is for you. This thing can make a simple thing sound like an instrument. So there's a sample in here that I snatched straight off of that first group of samples that I played you. I think it's this one right here. That sound right there. just in case you don't recognize it. I know it's not. This is the wave file. A little faster, more in the front. So that's where I took it from. And here's where I put it. So I got a little something going. Now I want to make some patterns. So I'm gonna go over here to this pattern track. And now, just like the MV1 Verse Lab, but on the screen, I now have a step recorder visual, right? This one's on a timeline. This one's on a timeline in this way. This one's just on a different looking timeline, right? So when I stop that, I want to go into pattern mode where I've already made a couple of patterns based off that sequence. So we're going to go to pattern play. Oh, we're going to, hold on, we're going to go to, no, hold on. We're going to go to preview. Here's one I got. It's only a couple of bars. And then these are 12 bars. So I got 3 different patterns. Alright, so there we go. Alright. So I can come out of pattern mode now. But on pattern track, I just hit shift, record, pattern 1, pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3. And that takes me to 58, and I hit pattern 1 again, and pattern 1 again. Alright, so let's see what we got there. And this is just how to make just freak arrangements. And doing that was no different than taking this section, which that's what the patterns are called, this section, and putting it on 1. This section, putting it on 2. So when I go to song mode, you can see the first pattern is pattern 3. Then this pattern plays twice. Then this pink pattern plays once. This one plays twice. This white one once. And this is the step sequencer. Just like on here. The step sequencer. The whole concept carries right over. So that's one of the bigger things I want to kind of stress every now and then. Now what I'll do is I'm gonna let me see what I did. I think I put the pattern too far back. Oh, I didn't set it up. Did I not play a pattern? Oh, I set it way back here. All right, so that MV, I can move the entire track probably. I'm going to copy this whole entire pattern. Hold on, let me just undo all that. Undo all that stuff. Alright, so go to the beginning of the song. My bad. And then shift pattern 1, pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3, pattern 1. See what you got. Now I just muted it out so I can hear which patterns I got playing in succession. But when you're making a track, you can let the pattern be in the song and still use the notes and the sounds and the audio from the linear mode if you arrange it that way. I have a couple of tracks that I've arranged where for 8 bars it's a pattern, but nothing else is playing. It's just a 2-track of a pattern. It's just a pattern track. Then it drops out and the regular song comes back in addition to the pattern mode, giving it a whole nother layer. There's just so many ways you can do it on the MV 8000, but it took a while to get there. Here makes you make beats really fast. It makes you make compositions really fast. I haven't gotten to the vocal stuff as much because I'm still just in the arrange and in the perusing and finding what sounds and what modes I'm comfortable in with this thing. And I mean, this thing has some options as well. Shout out to the guys who are digging into this, because I find out new stuff all the time from guys like Paige Anderson and others that dived a little bit deeper, like putting the whole entire drum kit or the loop, the pattern on one pad in the kit. That shit's genius right there. I gotta use that one. Anyway, so that's the pattern mode in here and how it relates to the other one, right? That white that pattern I just played was just me going into pattern mode. And since it's linear, you can just keep building until you see fit in this one. That's how this one works. So in addition to the sampler being so dope, like I said, I just ripped a flute sample and made it into a patch where it sounds like an instrument that's in the MV. Now, that's in the MV for good now. That's not going anywhere. One thing I like to do, though, I'm going to show you something else. So I want to isolate this sound right here. And I want to run it through that 4-button chorus that I love so much. Y'all hear that change? Check it out. Off. gotta explore on the MVs. You gotta let it all just kind of pass through everything. Boy, ear candy, man, ear candy. So, what I like to do is, now that I know I like that, I really want this this fluty sound with the RSS delay on there separate. And we'll make it lay down another way. So let's get back to the RSS delay. Right here. Use this. Go to edit menu. It's something's off. It was at 104 on here. 161, 351. These settings, man. Let's see what we did. Sorry about that. So I had to reload something real quick. I messed up a setting, but as you can see, you can go through the effects on here and get lost, and it's the same way on the MV1 Verse Lab as well. I'm gonna get over there in a minute, but I wanted to record and try some effects on that incoming signal. I kind of like that incoming signal the way it is already. I do think I want to record that flute with the delay on it, and then have both tracks kind of going parallel, and we'll see about that one. Give me a minute. So while that one's loading, I'm gonna come hop on the MV over here and kill some time. That one's gonna have to wait now. So let's see what we got over here. Let's break this down into sections. Let's see what I got with this. Now on the side over here, I got this one, rim shot, this one, nope. Let's see, section 7. Sequence, hi-hats. Oh yeah, there we go. No. Maybe it's not that one. And I am back after mucho disorientation here in my measures. And this is what I run into on the Verse Lab that I'm not quite used to, and that is you always have to set. You may move on to a new part, and the measures are shorter than the rest of the track, and you got to go back and set it. And those little things right there build up when you're unfamiliar. But once you make the mistake a couple of times and you get used to muscle memory, it gets a little better. But that's where I'm lost in right now, is that I got this part I want to put in, and it should be simple. I want to put it on the fourth go around of this little part right here. But it's coming up on the one every single time instead of just, right? See, it started over. And I don't understand why it's doing that. See, like right there, it came up on the one, and I don't get that. It's the weirdest way the sequencer works. Sometimes I'm really on with it. Sometimes it'll do something like this in the middle of nowhere, where I gotta go backwards and figure stuff out, and that's where the comfort comes from being over here. I just know that in a linear mode, you can always go back in the timeline. The restricted amount of bars you can use per loop is a weird restriction, because lots of times your thought goes past that, even in a course of one loop. Then when you get to reset or go to another sound, you're not thinking you gotta set that sound up exactly like the song is set up, which sometimes that's exactly what you got to do. And we're going to get off the MV1 Verse Lab for a minute. It's frustrating me. Let's go back over here to the MV1, the MV8000. Just peeped in the chat. You definitely can do boom bap on here. I should go through all the boom bap kits, man. They got the TR727 on here. They got these drum kits that already got compressors applied to the effects chain. So yeah, you can definitely do boom bap. I seen a guy on the MV Verse Lab group. I think the admin is Cool Out something, Cool Out Davis or something. He has some boom bap stuff he did on MV8000. It sounds pretty authentic, man. But yeah, it's very capable of doing that. Right now, right now I'm going through effects, and I wanted to do some A/B stuff to the MV8000. But like, okay, so take this one. This is supposed to be like the 4-button chorus, chorus 320. Yeah, it's going by a slightly different name, but it's not the same out the box. That is. So far, I got to make a bunch of adjustments. See how that? moving from setting to setting. Need to get that tap tempo update. Thing you ain't gonna claim that the MV on Verse Lab doesn't have is some knock on the block. thing got some bottom, man. I'm looking to make additions and edits, but I don't want to. Hold on. Something was off on that section. It's a section in here. Hold on. There. That, no, that's not it. There it is. It's off. Sometimes the step will just automatically just come off. Like that. See, can I clear one of these other ones out real quick? So I can go to this one. Give me some background music. Be all enjoying the cartoons.